I was honestly quite excited for Street Fighter 6. The new World Tour mode finally looked like a good single player experience in a Street Fighter game. It's part Yakuza, part Street Fighter, and you can build all sorts of crazy characters with different moves from the famous Street Fighter character. So do you play Mortal Kombat games for the story? And is Super Smash Bros. Brawl your favourite Smash because of the Subspace Emissary? Well, this review is for you. So is Street Fighter 6 worth buying as a single player experience? There's no better place to start than the character creator. And at first glance, I was impressed at the options. You can change absolutely everything about your character, and it's one of the deepest character creators I've ever seen. So naturally, I spent ages trying to make a cool looking character, and very quickly I realised that it was impossible. My first character's eyes were stupid looking, and his pasty white skin created loads of issues with lighting. I genuinely tried to make a cool looking character. I mean, the designs of Street Fighter are great with exaggerated features like forearms the same size as my torso. I even tried to change it later, and I made something that was kind of okay, but just look at his body hair. It looks like someone shaved their beard and forgot to wash off the clippers from their body. Now, if you want a character creator that can create absolute monstrosities, then this character creator is for you. But if you want to make a relatively normal looking character, you just can't. Now, I hear you asking, what actually is this game mode? You run around this small city like Yakuza, doing odd jobs, fighting people in the streets, and building a character to your liking. Throughout the story, you meet the famous characters from Street Fighter, and then you can register them as your master, and once you do that, you gain XP towards their skills, and you'll unlock their abilities to equip to your character. And this premise is so cool. My character had a mixture of abilities from DJ, Blanka, Chun-Li, and Luke. And honestly, I love doing this until you get into the combat. You can fight anybody. Every NPC has a level and fighting style, and you can challenge them at any time. On top of that, there are goons walking around that will engage you as you walk past, and then you load into a battle and fight a couple of goons. At first, I was fine fighting these goons, but then you realise that the AI is absolutely brain dead. But it was the start of the game, so I didn't really think much of it. But as I progressed, enemy AI never really picked up, and I was mindlessly mashing buttons to win fights. It just became tedious, and felt like the worst part of JRPGs. Another thing that infuriated me was that really low level enemies still chase after you, so I would constantly start battles with level 2 enemies when I was like level 25. And I'd have to load into a battle, hit a few punches, and win. And by God, this was frustrating. Even the harder battles where the AI is competent can be cheesed. No joke, you can be mid-combo, almost about to die, and you just simply pause the game, heal up mid-battle, and it took out all the stakes in these fights. Every play session was a slog because of this, so I just beelined the story, and even the story wasn't interesting. You start as a new member of Luke's gym, and no joke here, at one point I had to help a gang make a counterfeit bag, and these gang members are so generic. As you go along, you meet the masters and you get these beautifully animated cutscenes filled to the brim with character and charm. But they are very few and far between, and outside of the spectacle, they don't add much to the story. From a production standpoint, I think these cutscenes are on the same level as the Mortal Kombat ones, but everything else surrounding it is just so lackluster. One thing though, I do have to commend the game on how well it teaches the mechanics to you. As you run around the world, you'll find side quests that basically introduce the mechanics of Street Fighter to a new player, which is great. But as someone who already had a basic grasp of Street Fighter from playing casually over the years, I found these boring, but I understand I'm not the audience for these quests. I played on PC and had absolutely no issues running the game at 60 FPS or above, even running around the city. Now, I did play quite a bit on deck too, and arcade mode and 1v1 battles were fine, but the World Tour mode just didn't run right. I could get it running okay at around 30 FPS walking around the world, but the battles would play as if they were in slow motion, which is a massive shame, because I think if I was to enjoy this World Tour mode, it would have been on the deck where I would sit down for 20 minutes and just play it every night. Now, I did only get to Chapter 9, but I gave up. There was other things, like there was a gear system where you could dress up your character and they'd give them different stats. But ultimately, with brain dead AI and kind of a one-trick beat all battles, you didn't really have to engage with the gear system. If you are like me and was hoping that World Tour would be Street Fighter's answer to Mortal Kombat story mode, then you'll be sadly mistaken. Every single play session felt like a slog. I couldn't play any more than 30 minutes before I have to turn it off. I got to Chapter 9 and I just gave up. And to be honest, I only got that far because I was reviewing this game for GameXplain and I wanted to at least give it a good shot. While I am massively disappointed in this mode, I do think with some refinement in Street Fighter 6, this could be something worth playing because it has decent foundations. But if you only want Street Fighter 6 for World Tour mode, then I wouldn't recommend it at full price. Maybe if you could pick it up for 20 or 30 euro down the line, it might be worth it. But for 80 euro, it just isn't worth it for just the World Tour mode. Everything else in the game is absolutely phenomenal though, and I can't wait to jump into more multiplayer, and I will be streaming it. So keep an eye out on that. I really appreciate your time. Are you interested in Street Fighter 6? Especially if you're like a casual player, because that's where I come from. So don't forget to subscribe, join the Discord down below, and I'll see you all on the next video. Goodbye.